Alright, so I am trying this in a more climate controlled environment because when I tried to record my spoiler review for Thunderbolts, my phone overheated and it stopped my recording right as I was getting done with it. So we're trying it again now, but in a uh, much more controlled environment. So if you have not seen Thunderbolts, I recommend that you do go watch it and then come back to this video, and I'm going to talk about every single spoiler that's in this movie. So, starting things off, Yelena is on an assignment from Val to break into this lab that she worked with, and I clocked something earlier on that I'll get back to in a little bit. Um, she destroys the lab, and she gets one more assignment from Val about a vault belonging to her company, OX. And basically, she sends Yelena in to go in and destroy not only its contents, but also somebody else. Um, and what she ends up doing is she pits all of her like little pawn pieces that she's gathered, which is Yelena, John Walker, U.S. Agent, Ghost, and Taskmaster, to basically kill each other. In the skirmish, or yeah, in the scrimmage, or the scrappage, you could say, um, Yelena bumps into a box and awakens Bob out of that box. If you had been paying attention to the marketing of the movie, you would have noticed that Taskmaster was a little bit absent from the marketing, and that is because, well, Ghost ends up phasing all over the place and ends up killing Taskmaster with a single shot right to the head. So that's why Taskmaster wasn't involved in a lot of the marketing. Um, she is able to, after tampering with some of the power boxes, she's able to phase through the vault door and open it right in time before they are all incinerated. Walker breaks through an elevator door, and that all four of them, which Yelena, John Walker, Ghost, and Bob, they all climb up that elevator shaft, Emperor's New Groove style, until they reach the door, or reach the opening in the door, I should say, and they're able to get out. Um, Bob creates a bit of a diversion with the troops that Val had sent in for them to escape, but Bob is bulletproof. Bullets do nothing to him, and he realizes that he has some super abilities. And he flies up, he passes out, and comes crashing back to Earth, causing a huge crater, which sends a shockwave over the makeshift camp and also flips the car that our intrepid team was traveling in. Um, Alexei, who Yelena had met up earlier on in the film, um, he finds out where Yelena is because Val rode in his limo because he is doing a limo service while basically doing nothing else. He says he has work, but he does not have work. Um, so he finds out where they're located and he drives up, and I just love the reaction from Walker and Ghost. They're like, that guy's coming towards us, and Yelena's just like, oh my god, why? it's, it's the best thing ever. Um, Eventually, a convoy does catch up with the limo, but Bucky ends up stopping that convoy, flipping those trucks over. By the way, those trucks flipped over practically, which is awesome. Like, you can tell those were practical effects, which is awesome to see. And then he flips the limo over. He is going to bring them in for testimony in Val's impeachment as director of the CIA, but instead, Bucky gets a call from Mel, who is Val's, I don't want to say intern, but more like um, secretary person. I don't know what the official title is, but she calls him to basically say, hey, he's got Bob, aka, or she's got Bob, aka Sentry, and he's very dangerous because whenever Sentry like makes physical contact with somebody, it shows them their darkest moments, their low points, shall we say. With Yelena, it was with a um, first test, so to speak, where she lured out one of her friends, Anya, and was basically caught her to basically kill her. For John, it was the dissolution of his family and his separation from his wife and his kid. And with Val, it was with her father. She had met someone who knew her father and told him where he was located, and that guy comes over and ends up shooting him point blank in the chest. So, pretty dark stuff. But the team is able to get over there, basically see the form of Sentry before he is debuted to the press and to the public. I actually really like the look of Sentry in this, like the gold hair, nice gold suit, big S on as like a belt buckle. Like that's pretty cool. Um, and then what follows is an amazing, I think it's a one shot action sequence where the camera stays on Sentry and it follows basically all of the guys in the team, guys and gals in the team, just basically ping ponging off of Sentry, just showing how OP he is. Um, and it ends with Bucky like landing some good shots, but it's doing nothing to Sentry. He yanks off Bucky's vibranium arm, and so the team is scrambling, and Val's like, "Good job. Now why don't you go and kill them?" And Sentry starts to grow a little bit of a conscience, like, "Well, why do I have to worry about them if they're beneath me? You did say that I am." Stronger than all of the Avengers, which does include a god. And he starts making suggestions about his appearance, and Val is about to hit the kill switch on him, but Sentry sees it coming. But Mel does hit the kill switch, and they're able to get out. But that just unlocks the void in Sentry, and so he is just um, disappearing people left, right, and center throughout the city, which I laughed at this part of the movie, which I don't know if this is like a messed up part on my end or something, but um, Red Guardian saves a little girl from falling wreckage, and he's consoling her, and then just immediately just into a shadow, and I was like, wow, that's dark and also funny at the exact same time. But Yelena does go in to the void to try and get Bob out of there. And of course, she sees the memory of, her first test. She then sees a memory of her in the red room, like maybe loading a gun, like assembling and loading a gun, and she's the first one to do it, and then the rest of them get whipped in their palms, which is crazy. Another memory shows Yelena at the foot of a bath, where she said to Alexei earlier on in the film, um, she's like, I just work, go home, I drink, and eat. That's pretty much all I do. And so you see her with like a couple of alcohol bottles there, and she's just wanting to talk to Bob. And eventually she does find him in one of his quieter spaces where, there is a bit of um, spousal and child abuse going on in the lower part of the space. But um, Yelena basically convinces Bob to be like, "Hey, remember what I said earlier about just pushing down all of your dark, angry thoughts? That doesn't really work. You have to let it out sometimes, and even though it may come back, it is a little bit lighter each time you do it." And so that is enough to convince Bob to try and get out of there, but Void wants to keep him down there. So the rest of the Thunderbolts join her in Bob's vision, and they're eventually able to traverse through all of his bad memories. The next one that they go to was when Bob worked as a chicken mascot for a restaurant. Bucky knocks down um, him. We then go to when he was in the lab that Yelena had hit on earlier on in the film, like in the opening minutes of the film, when he was created, and there were two people like frozen like that, and it was really really scary. And I clocked that earlier on in the film. Um, Void taunts Bob, saying, I'm still going to be here, whether you like it or not. I'm still going to be there. And Bob has had enough. He starts punching Void, and while all that's happening, the rest of the Thunderbolts are like plastered. I wouldn't necessarily say plastered, but they're stuck up against like cabinets or walls or something to basically stop them from getting to Bob, so the Void can fully take him over. But Yelena is able to escape and comfort him, and the rest of the Thunderbolts do so and comfort Bob, and he's able to put the Void away for now. Meanwhile, while all that has happened, Val has made up a mock press conference, and instead of showing off Sentry, she shows off her new team, the New Avengers, which is why there's an asterisk in the title for Thunderbolts, because um, it then changes to New Avengers after the mid credits roll. And I love that in the mid credits they um, add all of these like headlines of like "Be Avenger, Be Vengers," or "Not My Avengers," or just simply "Nope" as one of the headlines. It was really good. It was really funny to see that. Um, First post credit scene is kind of like a button to one of the jokes that Alexei had said earlier on in the film, where he's like, "We could be the heroes on the Wheaties boxes," and sure enough, all of them are on the Wheaties box, and he's like, that's me right there," and he hands it to somebody, and she immediately walks down the aisle and places that on on a stand of other cereals. But let's talk about that second post credit scene. We flash forward 14 months into the future where the Avengers have new outfits, new looks. I think Bucky has let his hair grow out, so has Ghost, I think. And they are also fighting Sam Wilson for naming rights for the Avengers, because at the end of Brave New World, he said he was going to reform the Avengers, but Val made the New Avengers. So, Bucky has tried to talk with them, but that talk didn't go so well. Um, Alexei comes in wearing like a NASCAR style outfit with Avengers with a Z at the end, because he's like, "Oh, that's not trademarked." And I just love the suit that he wears, just bright and colorful and all that stuff. Meanwhile, there's some problems in space, outer space, because that's one of the jokes that they said. Like, there's a big space problem, is what Yelena says, and John Walker's like, "We're running out of space already? This building's pretty big." And she looks back at him and snaps, "Outer space." And some people on the team are like, "Well, we could send Sentry up," and then there's Bob just chilling in a chair, reading a book with a milkshake on a table, and he's like, "Well, I could go out there and do something, but if Sentry comes out, the other guy might come out, but I did the dishes today," which I find so relatable. It's like whenever my parents are like, "Did you do X, Y, and Z?" and I'm like, "No, but I did this. Does that count?" I just found that so relatable. But they find a spaceship entering into their atmosphere, and the camera zooms in on it, and It's a familiar looking ship for those that have been paying attention to trailers, and the ship rolls onto its side, and lo and behold, there's a four on there. The Fantastic Four have made their way into our world, which I have to point this out. If you pay attention during the credits, you will see the Fantastic Four theme listed in the themes. And I'm like, I understand why you have to put that there. But couldn't you just wait until after the scene to put that there? Because I'm like, you spoiled it a little bit, man, just a little bit. I was just like, oh man, but it's still a really cool moment that the Fantastic Four are in our universe because they're in a completely different universe in their movie, which is coming out in July. Which I think many people have speculated that this is going to be, not a good ending for the Fantastic Four, in which they're going to let their world be destroyed and they're going to try and find some place to be, essentially. Um, but it's very interesting to see that ship with the four on it. It's just like knowing the Fantastic Four are here. And I just learned that that scene, the second post-credit scene, was directed by the Russo brothers, which makes a lot of sense because they're shooting Doomsday right now. Um, and it reminds me of the time with the post-credit scene in Ant-Man, which was just basically a scene out of Civil War. So it was really cool to learn that bit of information. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens in First Steps later on in the year because there are going to be there's some questions coming out of this, and we're going to need some answers. But yeah, I had a really really fun time watching Thunderbolts slash New Avengers. Um, if you guys have the opportunity to, I highly recommend you watch this movie in IMAX because it is meant to be seen in IMAX. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Be safe out there, and remember, like I said in my non-spoiler review, you too can be on the Wheaties boxes if you try hard enough. And I will see you next time.